Hello my friends, just a quick one today. I just wanted to jump on and talk about Lumix's new update. I was lucky enough to get a pre-release version to test out on my S1 Mark II and my S1R Mark II. The updates might not seem that huge on paper, but they actually all come together to build quite a strong improvement in the quality of life of these cameras and build on the strengths they already have. For instance, obviously overheating has been a huge thing, especially when the S1R Mark II first came out. And I've just been testing with like OpenGate, the highest resolutions and everything, and I'm getting at least 2 to 3 times longer recording times, which, considering that was like the one, I guess, like flaw of this camera especially, that's a pretty big improvement for just a firmware update out of nowhere. Apparently with the overheating, the issue was, especially if you're in a cold room or car, the camera would sort of use that as its base temperature. So then if you went outside into the heat, it would almost trick the camera into thinking it's way hotter than it is, and then there would be issues. And they figured this out, they kind of tweaked the algorithm, they tested it in, very hot conditions here in Australia, and yeah, performance seems way better. I'm getting definitely more than double, kind of probably close to 3 times like record times with these cameras now. And I don't know what the official scientific results are from their tests, but it's definitely significantly improved, and that was probably one of the only real kind of handbrakes that this camera had, so that's pretty exciting. And another thing that's sort of a bit under the radar is being able to do proper subject tracking autofocus in 120 frames is another thing where it's taken a strength this camera has and made it stronger. So I think when you're doing eye autofocus, you can have the option to have kind of just the little kind of square on the eye like you'd have on a lot of other cameras, rather than the crosshair and the square. That way it's not as cluttered, the UI is just a bit cleaner. And when you're focusing on multiple people, rather than having heaps and heaps of boxes and it's sort of, you're worried about it like jumping in between, you can have it so it just has the priority box. You click, who you want to focus on, there's just that box, and it's just a cleaner UI. I think these things are mainly improvements as far as like composition goes. Like, I find the cleaner the UI is, the more you can sort of focus on the composition of your shot and make sure you just nail it. And another update that sort of doesn't seem overly huge, but I've been quite enjoying, is I always find myself having to look up what the dual native ISO is, because obviously I've got the 2 cameras, 2 sensors. One of my cameras has ARRI log, so the dual native ISOs are always kind of shifting, when I'm jumping from camera to log to log. Now there's a colored line below the ISO, so whether you're at the bottom of your kind of base ISO or at the end, and I just find it just saves time having to try and remember or Google the native ISOs between the cameras and sensors and logs and all that type of thing. So it's one of those things where on paper it's like doesn't seem overly exciting, but it really does add up to just a smoother experience overall. So I think this update sort of came out of nowhere, and it really does just boost these cameras to being even better versions of themselves. And I'm so lucky that Panasonic let me test them early, and yeah, I've already loved using these cameras, as you all know, and now it's just even more so. Thanks for watching, and a lot more Lumix content coming, as well as some Blackmagic Pixis 12K review and whatnot coming. Should be a strong end of the year, and thanks for sticking around.